Some 487,000 shots from AstraZeneca will be arriving in the country later today, but the priority list for this delivery has yet to be finalized. The World Health Organization believes that the Oxford-made vaccine is still effective against the more infectious South African COVID variant. The Pasay City LGU is open to putting the entire city under enhanced community quarantine to contain the spread of the South African variant. And the Education Department says it is ready to pilot test face-to-face classes in low-risk areas if President Duterte gives them the green light. And let's get to know Smart's newest celebrity endorser. Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's a roundup of stories we're watching now. I'm Sean Yao. After some delay, AstraZeneca vaccine secured through the COVAX facility will finally arrive in the country tonight. Maricel Halili is in the Villamor Air Base in Pasay City waiting for the vaccines, and she will tell us more. Hi, Mase. What's the latest? What time is the plane arriving?
Hi, Sean. About 487,200 doses of AstraZeneca shots are expected to arrive here in Villamor Air Base at around 7:30 this evening. This is the second shipment of vaccines to the Philippines following the arrival of Sinovac from China last Sunday. The National Task Force Against COVID-19 said that jobs are being delivered via a commercial flight from Belgium. They will have a short stopover in Bangkok before arriving at the NAIA Terminal 3. From there, it will be towed to Villamor Air Base for a simple ceremony to be led by President Duterte. Health Secretary Francisco Duque III and WHO Representative Dr. Rabindra Abeyasinghe will join the President in the inspection. After the program, the vaccines will be transported to Metro Pack in Marikina for storage. As of now, there is no exact date yet for the rollout of AstraZeneca. PALA spokesman Harry Roque says this will depend on when the IATF will approve the National Immunization Technical Advisory Group or NITAG's recommendation. The NITAG just drafted its recommendation today. It is definite, though, that medical frontliners will be the first recipients of the shots. With the scheduled arrival of AstraZeneca jobs, the government now has more than 1 million doses of vaccines. But this is still short of the target 3.4 million doses allotted for 1.7 million health workers in the country, as stated by testing czar Vince Tison in today's Laging Handa briefing. Once the inoculation for healthcare workers are done, the government can start vaccinating senior citizens. Sean, the national government is also expecting the arrival of about 1 million doses of Sinovac from China to the Philippines before the end of this month. This is the first purchase of vaccines by the national government. Sean?
Thank you for that update from Villamor Air Base. That was Maricel Halili joining us live. The World Health Organization is downplaying a recent study showing AstraZeneca's jabs reduced efficacy rate against some cases of the South African COVID variant. The WHO is also reminding the government to follow the vaccine priority list. Greg Gregorio with that story.
The World Health Organization still believes that AstraZeneca's vaccine is effective against the South African variant of SARS-CoV-2. Citing a study in South Africa, the Octa research team earlier warned about the Oxford jab's reduced efficacy rate against mild and moderate cases of the B.1.351 variant.
We had some initial problems with setting up the mechanisms and the deliveries. We are happy to note that Philippines is receiving one of the largest consignment of COVAX vaccines in this first initial consignment.
The health department seconded this, saying the sample size for the South African study was relatively small.
Actually, itong study na sinasabi, katulad ng sinabi ni Dr. Rabi kanina, napakaliit ng sample. No? Maliit yung sample, it's less than 2,000. And these were among individuals na young, no? At saka hindi pa peer-reviewed yung study. Ang sa atin naman, we like to always err on the side of caution. Pero, hindi para sabihin na mawawalang bisa ang pagbabakuna natin.
In an interview with 1PHS sa Totoo Lang, Father Nicanor Austriaco of the Octa research team said this should not stop the Philippines from using the Oxford vaccines.
The World Health Organization, knowing that the AstraZeneca is not effective for mild and moderate disease against the South African variant, has still recommended vaccination with AstraZeneca because any protection is better than no protection.
While AstraZeneca shot may be given to those aged 18 and up, the National Immunization Technical Advisory Group has yet to decide whether or not to recommend it to elderly healthcare workers. The government is expecting an additional 4.58 million AstraZeneca doses still through the COVAX facility starting May. The WHO is reminding the government to strictly follow the vaccine priority list to ensure unhampered supply.
If we cannot demonstrate that we are following this prioritization, unfortunately, the COVAX may have to consider other options where the impact of the vaccine rollout will be more useful and practical and will contribute to saving more lives.
The National Task Force Against COVID-19 vows to adhere to this. For News 5, Greg Gregorio, we are One News.
Let's take a look at how AstraZeneca's jabs stack up to other COVID-19 vaccines. According to the COVID vaccine dashboard of UNICEF, AstraZeneca is among the 3 vaccine makers listed by the World Health Organization for emergency use. As for its efficacy rate, Reuters reported that the AstraZeneca vaccine is 70.4% effective in preventing symptomatic infections. That is lower than the 95% reported efficacy rate of Pfizer and higher than the 50.4% of Sinovac. AstraZeneca said its COVID-19 vaccine does not require deep freezing at minus 70 degrees Celsius like the mRNA shot from Pfizer. Instead, it can be stored in a standard refrigerator for 6 months. Over 50 nations across the globe have so far forged agreements with the British-Swedish manufacturer. Of that number, nearly 20 are countries from Asia, including the Philippines. As for Sinovac's shot, thousands of frontliners have already received their first dose of the China-made jab. Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles said over 8,500 health workers and security personnel have received coronavac. Of the 600,000 doses donated by China, almost 190,000 have been delivered to different sites and hospitals around Metro Manila. Meanwhile, 12,000 Sinovac shots have already been delivered to Davao, while another 7,200 doses have been received by Cebu. Nograles urged Filipinos to follow the steps of healthcare workers who put their trust in Sinovac.
We acknowledge that we have countrymen who still have reservations about receiving vaccines. But we believe that our kababayan should take their cue from the doctors, nurses, and medical personnel who have received the first doses of the vaccine. To triumph in the war against COVID-19, every Filipino qualified to receive the vaccine should get vaccinated.
And the Pasay City LGU will not object if the IATF decides to put the entire city under ECQ due to the threat of the South African COVID variant. JC Cosico joins us live from on the ground for the details. JC, how's it going over there in Pasay?
Sean, the Pasay City LGU is closing its doors to a possible citywide enhanced community quarantine amid the spike in cases and the detection of the South African variant. Mayor Emmy Calixto Robiano said cases are being contained at the community level based on their observation. She clarified, though, that she's not against the placing Pasay under ECQ. She also urged the national government to intervene since Pasay is a major business and travel hub and the location of airports and various terminals. Public health expert Dr. Tony Leachon had earlier said Pasay must be placed under ECQ urgently. Pasay logged 4 cases of the South African or B1351 variant, although all of them have already recovered. Professor Guido David of the Octa research team called for a stricter implementation of health protocols. He also mentioned the possibility that the South African variant has already infiltrated nearby cities. Let's listen to Professor David and Mayor Rubiano.
What we do think is that although they're doing it in Pasay, some of it has already escaped Pasay and leaked over to some other LGUs. For example, the nearby barangays in Manila, Makati, and Taguig.
Alam po ninyo, hindi po ako nag-o-object kung gagawing ECQ ang Pasay per se. But the other agencies and services must adjust accordingly.
Sean, security remains tight here in Barangay 1A3 in Pasay City, which is currently under localized ECQ after recording 34 cases of, or after recording 34 active cases of the virus. Now, the LGU is also looking to lift the lockdown in some 30 areas tomorrow, and to date, Pasay City has recorded over 8K infections, in which 543 are considered active. Back to you.
JC, one question. Are they genome sequencing these 43 samples from the COVID positive patients that are found there in Pasay?
Sean, Mayor Rubiano said that genome sequencing is still ongoing and results may be out in 15 days. Sean.
Thank you so much for that. That was News 5's JC Cosico reporting to us live from Pasay City. The Health Department logged more than 2,400 new COVID-19 cases today. And this brings the country's total caseload to more than 584,600, around 37,000 of which are still active. 15 more people died of the virus overnight, pushing the death toll to 12,400. Meanwhile, total recoveries now stand at 535,000, with over 260 new survivors in the past 24 hours. The Education Department says it can conduct pilot limited face-to-face classes within 1 week. That is, of course, if the President and the IATF approve their proposal. In an interview with 1PH's Sa Totoo Lang, Undersecretary Diosdado San Antonio said they are validating which schools can proceed with in-person classes. President Duterte previously rejected the proposal prior to the vaccine rollout.
Pag halimbawa po, pumayag ngayon, sa susunod na linggo pwede na po nating maano. So, ang ibig pong sabihin natin, ang pinakaunang konsiderasyon ay pinapayagan na ba tayo ng IATF at ng Pangulo. Pag pinayagan po tayo sa loob ng isang linggo, pwede na pong ma-implementa yung pilot face-to-face classes.
The Education Undersecretary says that senior high school students should be prioritized for in-person classes, especially those on the technical vocational track. He explained that students in this strand require more immersion with equipment which cannot be brought home.
Kailangan din ng pagkakataon ng mga senior high school learners natin, lalong-lalo na sa techbook track, kasi po kailangan talaga nilang magsanay sa mga equipment, mga makina, at ito ay hindi pwedeng dalhin sa bahay lahat.
Smart Communications introduced Chris Evans as its newest brand ambassador. Evans appeared in the telco giant's new advertisement for its Live Smarter for a Better World campaign. The initiative aims to inspire people to commit to sustainable actions with lasting impact on society. The Avengers and Captain America star is the first Hollywood A-lister ambassador of Smart.
Simple. Smart ako.
For more updates, visit News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Sean Yao, and we are One News.